Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface 3 in one day. Although my Batwoman review managed to get itself a gold medal. I can't think why. Anywho, Neil Druckmann, Cuckman, Drunkman, whatever you want to call him, put out a special message on YouTube earlier today. Number one, careful Neil, Muso TNT Limited might copyright strike you for talking about The Last of Us Part 2. And number two, I can't put it up here because, you know, Naughty Dog might get their bitch dog to come and copyright strike me again for putting Cuckman on the screen. So I've drawn a completely unrelated image purely to entertain my audience. This image does not represent anybody alive or dead on the inside. So, first of all, the comment section of the video was disabled. God, there's a joke that I really want to say, but I'm resisting so hard. The comment section was disabled. So if you wanted to talk to Neil, if you wanted to pass on any comments, they weren't there to listen. But more importantly, turning off the comment section, they're doing it because of the leaks that have come out, which I won't discuss the specifics of in this video. But what I will say is, with the message that he gave, plus the fact that the comment section was turned off, Naughty Dog are all but confirming that the leaks are actually true. All that we've seen, and I know the leaks were very comprehensive in as much as it didn't just provide narrative details, but it had screenshots plus video. But it basically confirms, all but confirms, that what is said is actually true. So what did the special message actually say? Well, it said that The Last of Us Part 2 has gone tin. Gold. Gold, not tin. Gold. And what that means is the game's master is done. It's not getting altered. Everything is complete, and now it's going to press. It's going to be sent off, and the DVDs are going to start production. And the boxes, and all of that sort of stuff. There are going to be no changes to the game. So I know after the leaks came out, there was a proportion of people that said, is there any chance that in the time between now and the release of the game that they can change anything? Now, my perspective has always been, of course, no. This game has been in development for approximately 7 years, pretty much since the release of the first Last of Us game. From what we already know about how Naughty Dog works as a company, from, well, you know, the leaks given to Jason Schreier, who was happy to accept them and report on them, as opposed to the leaks about the game where he phoned that it shouldn't have been done, when in essence he was just mad because they didn't go to him, because the guy himself is a hypocrite and will only report favourably when it suits his agenda. He had contact with developers at Naughty Dog, and there was a lot of things that came out. Some of which was that the company was massively disorganized. Disorganized in as much as they didn't have any specific producers. People produced their own work. Disorganized in the fact that they went through staff like they were going out of fashion. Of the 20 non-lead developers that were at the company, only 6 remained during production of The Last of Us 2, meaning 70% of non-lead developers left the company during The Last of Us Part 2, as well as animators, programmers, etc., that they had to get inexperienced people that weren't up to the task, and so they had to be shown the Naughty Dog way, so to speak. So one of the developers who remains anonymous said that if this company was actually organised, this game would have come out probably a year ago. Oops. And on top of that, I don't think Cuckman wants to change anything. I think he's really happy with his potential activist game. He's really excited for him to get his doggy treat from the snake oil vendors and get told what a wonderful progressive man he is, and anybody who doesn't like his game is a isonism and a phobe, because that's how entertainment works nowadays. It's not about entertaining your audience, it's about appeasing 12 crazy people on Twitter. That's where we are in current day. And to quote him, he said he'd just finished another playthrough of The Last of Us Part 2. I was crying by the end of it. Neil, I believe you. I do believe that you were crying tears of soy. Tears of soy when you finished that game. Oh, what a wonderful activist piece it is. Now, I've made my position perfectly clear. When I heard the leaks, it's actually put me off making a day one purchase. I will not be making a day one purchase. I did stress in a video which has been copyright striked by Sony that I was actually going to leave it, and I was going to wait for people who I trust to give an honest review of the game. Whether positive or negative was irrelevant, just I would respect their opinion, and if their opinion was, yeah, great game, the narrative is worth a watch, go for it, then I would probably pick it up at some point. But after the treatment by Sony and Naughty Dog to try and silence people, abusing the copyright system, no, I don't think I'm going to give Naughty Dog any money at all. And in actual fact, when they came out with all the leaks about Naughty Dog, there was an element of the staff that were secretly hoping that The Last of Us Part 2 will fail. And that's more, not so much the activism side, from what I can gather. That is more the crunch side of matters, because of the horrendous crunch that they've had to go through. And when a game gets delayed and we wait, it doesn't alleviate the crunch from the company. It just means there's more crunch for them and makes their job even more difficult. And whereas I was just discussing earlier about 70% of the non-lead developers having left the company, there was also a number of people who privately said once they get their bonuses after 6 months, they're gone from the company as well. And so I kind of wonder whether or not Naughty Dog can actually recover from this as a company. Where does Naughty Dog go next? Their feminist Last of Us game, feminist Uncharted game with the 2 women failed miserably. Sales were very low for that. Uncharted 4 has received plenty of criticism. The Last of Us Part 2, that's going to be out there for all to see soon. Where does Naughty Dog go next? The Last of Us has come to an end. Unless they want to suddenly pull a rabbit out of the hat with that one and say, actually, let's go again. The feminist version that they wanted to push went nowhere, so it's not as if they're going to carry on with those. The Last of Us Part 2, will it get a third game? Who knows? What I will say, because I am a fair guy, what I will say is I've got no doubt that The Last of Us Part 2 gameplay is going to be really good. I enjoyed the gameplay from the first game. I expect it to be very tight in the second game. It looks beautiful from what I've seen of the screenshots, what I've seen of the in-game footage that they've released. It looks like a lovely game. But I'm of the belief that games like The Last of Us are actually purchased more for the narrative side. It's not like a first-person shooter, for instance. A first-person shooter, your gratification, your reward is when you get a kill in the game. Is when you level up in the game because of those kills. Getting the extra attachments for your weapons, etc. But when it comes to a game like Tomb Raider, which is more akin to The Last of Us in terms of an action-adventure game, it's still very different. You kind of get your dopamine hit from solving a puzzle. With Tomb Raider, you're put into a room, there's a puzzle to complete, you work it out, you complete it, you get your dopamine fix, and you might get a bit of narrative on top of it as well. But a game like The Last of Us, to me, really focuses heavily on the narrative being the reward. So the gameplay takes you between treats of the narrative. And if you're not happy with the narrative, then I think it's going to be a very, very rough ride for people to get through. Regardless of how pretty it looks, regardless of how good the gameplay is. I'll end with this. Neil Cuckman again. He said, "No matter what you've seen or heard or read, nothing compares to playing this thing from beginning to end." Or as I like to say, the leaks are true. And with what I've just said, I don't think getting from start to finish is going to be as easy as Neil thinks. So there we go. June 19th is a day of reckoning. We shall see. Hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and YouTube for live streaming. Links are in the description box down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Bye for now.